Alright, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about the red mangrove. Mangroves are a beautiful and important part of our natural ecosystem. They are most notably from Florida, around that area. They are one of the few plants that can survive fully in fresh and salt water. Currently I have it in a little rimless 2.5 gallon tank that I de-rimmed myself. This is fully fresh water. I do plan on eventually turning them into salt water. I just wanted to get them acclimated and grow out a bit first before I do all that. I actually started out with 3 of these little propagules, and one of them died. And this one back here hasn't grown too much, and this one here has been growing pretty steadily. Red mangroves, they tend to grow pretty slow, but they are really good at eating up nutrients in a tank. They need a lot of it to really grow. And I think they're just a beautiful piece of nature. It's like growing a little tree right here in the apartment. So, red mangroves, they require a lot of light. I'm not even too sure if this is enough light. This is just an Imaginarium, oh god, planted aquarium tank light right here. It works really good. I like it so far. For photo period, I kind of give them 12 hours of white light, and then occasionally I'll leave the blue light on overnight. But for the most part, I just keep the light on and then turn it off at night before bed. Now, a common misconception about red mangroves is that they secrete salt out of their leaves, that you have to spray the salt off so that the leaves don't die off. That's not fully true. So in fresh water, obviously there's no salt in the water for them to excrete. But in salt water, they actually excrete the salt from their stalks. And you'll kind of see that towards the water line. Not in here, because this is fresh water. But yeah, so really, you just have to mist them every once in a while, because they like it to be a bit humid. They like their leaves to be a bit wet. So in terms of nutrients in this tank, I dose some fertilizer. Alright, so here's a couple of things. I keep the nutrients kind of high in this tank, so I really don't have any live animals in there, except for a couple of ram's horns. And then I have a couple of just extra freshwater plants. That's bladderwort down there, which is a very interesting plant. And then some pennywort. Just kind of what I had lying around. Oh, and then a monstera that I just kind of had lying around, decided to put in here. And in terms of equipment, I have a little pump here, which is most likely unnecessary. I just like having the flow in here to keep the water kind of flowing. I think the mangroves like some flow too, so not necessary, but I think appreciated. And for what I dose in here, I have these Imaginarium startup tablets. Basically just root tabs. I never used a Imaginarium before. It's kind of all I could find at short notice. They work pretty good. I'd recommend them if you really can't find anything else. I can't remember the price. It must have been $7.99 for 10, which is pretty okay. I got this Flourish iron. I just like to, I know a lot of plants kind of like high iron, so I dose this maybe once a week. I got some just regular fertilizer here, also dose about once a week. CO2 booster. I dose all my tanks with this about once a week. And then just some extra potassium. Yeah, just to make sure they're well fed. Because these guys, they like it nutrient rich, so I'm going to give them what they want. So I found that for mangrove care, especially in freshwater, there's not a whole lot of resources out there. So I kind of wanted to compile all I've learned, all I've experienced into a video, so that hopefully someone out there who's trying to keep mangroves can just have it all in one spot. And so for acclimating these plants from fresh to salt water, from my understanding, I've never tried this myself. It actually should be done very slowly over the course of a couple weeks to a month. I do plan on eventually turning these guys into salt water. I think I said that earlier, and so for their roots, they prefer to be in the substrate, but they can totally just be out in the water column. These ones are kind of small. I chopped them up just so they'd fit in the substrate. I got them and they were like 5 inches long, basically. They're growing back. It looks healthy. And so something else to know is that you'll hear that if a mangrove root gets broken, you chop it off, it's a death sentence. And that is true for the most part, but there are ways to avoid that. If a root breaks, put it in some fresh water. You will have to acclimate it back to salt water, but the reason it's a death sentence for the plant is that its roots are very important for extracting the fresh water from the salt, and that's important for the plant because obviously it'll extract that salt out through its bark later on. So if the root breaks, you can either glue the root back together and make sure that it'll stabilize itself, or you can keep it back in fresh water. It'll be completely fine, no problems. So far, that's most of the knowledge I have on mangroves. I think they are a gorgeous plant. I think they're a perfect part of any freshwater, brackish, saltwater system. I completely recommend them. They make everything look so much more natural and beautiful. And if you made it this far, leave a comment. Let me know if you have ever tried to keep mangroves, if I missed anything, or if you have any general questions. I can honestly try my best to answer. Thanks for watching.